Welcome back to Disc and Balls Golf Channel. It is Vlogmas Day 8 and we are at Westcouth Park, and today we're going to be working on some course management, especially in the wind. The big defense of this course is primarily the wind. The distances on some of the holes is another challenging factor. It makes it hard. You know, the winning scores from the blue tees in C tiers and B tiers generally aren't much below par, and that especially when the wind is up. So today we're going to go over some of that. The purpose today is kind of to give you an explanation of how I think my way through the course at the MA3, MA2 level. One thing that does translate over from traditional golf is course management and knowing your limitations, knowing, hey, this hole is 700 feet. It's going to take 2 amazing shots to get to the basket, or hey, this is in my range, or there's a hazard in my normal landing zone. I need to either lay up and take a bogey or risk it, but also be prepared to make the next shot after, especially if you have stuff like drop zones and whatnot that are a factor. So hole number 5 today, it's 493 feet. It's a quartering tailwind, kind of going right to left very slightly. Typically, it's a crosswind. You got wind coming left to right. Tends to flip things over and keep them there, so you end up a lot of the trees in your number 6. Since it's so downwind, I'm just going to go with an underworld. My goal is to put it out left of this first tree here, in line with the power box. Left of out there, and that gives you a good line in. But frequently, I'll turn something over or I'll put it in that one tree because it is a little bit of a ceiling. It's closer than it looks. So I'm going with the underworld because it's downwind. And I just want to keep it kind of pretty much at that tree on the left before the basket. That's a good line usually. Or you can put it directly behind the only tree that's the biggest issue in the whole thing. So just about the only worst way to play this is to put it directly behind that tree where you don't have a run up or next to it, where you're totally blocked off in that regard. This is actually manageable. I'm going to go with the forehand. I'll get a distance here before I throw. And this should be a reasonable upshot, but the distance downwind is what makes it trickier. So we got 230 left, which means I smushed that 260 footer off the tee, which is, that's MA2, MA3 distances. But yeah, I got a destroyer because I don't want the Firebird hooking up too soon. I kind of want it to get a little bit down there and then come back. It's still not a full speed, but that's where the distance and finesse comes in, like distance control comes into it. And no control. I missed my line way left. Now I've got a long putt that potentially brings bogey. Potentially brings double into play if I really screw it up. So this is the distance where you can have issues. It's about 45 feet, which means that I can reach it. But there's also drop off behind the basket, roll away opportunities leading around. And so the safe, smart play is to just take the bogey and move on. And it's a play that I don't make in tournaments typically, which is dumb. It's a dumb thing. 45 feet is like 10% make maybe for me. So I'll play it 2 ways. I'll play the aggressive, try and save par, which I do get more aggressive trying to save par than to make birdies. And then we'll do the safe play. So here's the safe play, just lay it up. Take the ho-hum bogey. So whether you play aggressive or safe is all going to be up to you. Your personal confidence in what you can do or what you can, what your range is. But just know that you don't need to run everything. Sometimes taking a bogey to save the double opportunity is the play to make. Hole 7 is about 510 downwind, and there's sidewalk all down the right side is OB. Once it gets to the crest of the hill over here, it does go back down to the corner, opening up some space if you can throw it that far. But the biggest mistake you can make is to go OB here and cut off your distance. The safest play for a right-hander is a forehand down this line, or down this left side, working back toward the sidewalk. But yeah, anything, I mean, distance is key to getting a decent upshot or a decent chance at par. So I'm going to start with a decently safe play with this metal plate katana out to the right, little hyzer angle. It should never flip over, but that's the risky play that kind of goes the more direct route to the basket, leaves an easier upshot. If I screw that up, I'll go through and do the safer play where I do a forehand out to the left. But that brings bogey into play just by virtue of the distance. And then there's that option where you just try and juice it, overpower it, and it goes nowhere. So the safe play that almost guarantees a bogey at worst is out to this left side. Just forehand it, trying to get to that. There's another tree behind this one. I'm not sure if the angle shows it, but it's a downwind. We can go with a lighter forehand. Try and just milk a little bit more distance out of it. Oh man, it got to that hyzer side and the wind just pushed it down. So from here, it's basically a guaranteed bogey. The biggest thing to avoid is going OB after that terrible drive. So I'm just going to play something out to the left, try and get some distance out of it. Try and hit my line, actually, that would be good. Might have done exactly what I said not to do. It's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. Play something stable. Play something big and safe. Held over more than usual for my race. So in the safe disc, I've got 252 into the basket. And I just want to kind of go pretty straight, throw something that will not turn over. If it turns over, you're done, just game over. So find a disc that's stable enough that'll ride, but won't go right. And hopefully let it fade to the basket to give yourself a reasonable, I don't know, edge of circle one putt or something. It's a little bit high, but oh no, it turned over. It's coming back. Okay. Little high, but worked out. Kind of ugly. Did turn over, so I'm going to be aware of that in the wind from now on. So it turns out my wraith is in bounds. So there's a sidewalk. It skipped over. So I got lucky there because I thought I could do something beyond my abilities, and I barely got away with it. Really, like, especially after you're already in the hole, don't compound it by stacking errors. That's just a great way to add strokes and take yourself out of contention. I got lucky here, so really this safe play, let's just lay it up, let's get the bogey. We already made a big enough mess of it so far, so. Okay, it's 126 to the basket. Downhill though, and the slope goes away, so I can land it a little short and be fine. So the safe play left me 250 out, reasonable upshot, about a 21 footer for birdie, wind slightly right to left. Worst case scenario, this should be a bogey where that one was risking double or worse. Or, you know, just do that. Putting in the wind is super easy to get complacent and expose that flight plate, and it just lifts and goes, and that should have never happened. 10A is 386 into a headwind, and it's a pretty narrow fairway. If you get over this tree on the right here, it opens up a little bit to the right, but all down this left side is houses, which are OB. There's two ways to play it. First one is to try and put a big flat long shot over this tree that doesn't turn over. The other one is to play something left to right either right of this tree or left of the tree, that then turns over and comes back. The little post up there with the flags, little orange flags, those are the drop zone. It's a pretty reasonable spot to make bogey from. So the OB is not as scary in that regard. But if you want to make par to stay caught up with the field, you gotta first put it in play, and then second, do something decent with your upshot. Both of these shots are something I would do at the destroyer. First one would be like a forehand flex, kind of barely turning it over, letting it come back. The other is put it high at that tree and let it come back, staying away from the OB. The forehand route, like there's a little bit of ceiling there with that tree, which I just ignored completely. Now I need you to get down, dude. Okay, good spike, good spike. The other backhand route for those who don't have a forehand would be over this tree to the right. And you gotta get it over the tree, unless you just miss it short. Playing to the layup zone is totally fine because it's all about making par. So even playing to the drop zone, congratulations, you're now one stroke ahead of everyone who threw it OB. They're all playing 3 from the drop, you're playing 2 from there, and you got a solid 10 feet over. Okay, so we got 156 into a headwind. I don't trust the harp, so I'm going to pour in a deflector. The backhand line here is kind of blocked slightly by the tree. Therefore, the highest chance of success is the left to right, opening up this entire area pretty much. It should be manageable. Kick my disc out of these. Fire it. The forehand line here is plenty safe. Gives a good upshot distance. Totally, we'll just finish the other one. I think in disc golf, 200 feet in is pretty key. I think just about anyone can throw 200 for the most part. So a good upshot is really important in the wind for making this easier, but it doesn't feel easy with this breeze. Hole 10B requires accuracy. There's OB street right, street left, sidewalk right. This kind of overhanging limb that could slap down an awkward one along the street here. People throwing a backhand because of this thing will tend to start it too far left, like toward the bench and stuff, and then it hyzers out. Really, for a backhand, I wouldn't even, most days consider a backhand here, just because the way the grass, everything slopes down toward the street there. So even downwind, I'd be hesitant to throw like a leopard 3, for example. I usually just throw a forehand out over the street, because that's just the safest play. This hole can be super tricky if you don't have a left to right shot. So my safest play in a headwind would be to throw this Firebird out over the street, maybe on a little hyzer too, just to make sure, and try and land it near that light post. Since it's downwind today, I can go with the destroyer, knowing that it won't turn over, and it should still come back. So I'm gonna aim like a little left of the basket, just straight out over the street. We want everything like, if you can aim it at the OB, aim it at the target, and know for sure that the disc is gonna come back, that's the safest play. Kind of caught that cable, so that's unfortunate, but it's safe, it's in play. If I absolutely had to throw a backhand here, I would try and start it on the left edge of the sidewalk and just let it swing down and keep it low. Keep it low where the wind can't get underneath the flight plate, because it will, and try my damnedest to just land up by the table, take the long upshot, but like having more downwind instead of quartering. That's why I don't do that one. I just don't like it. I don't like it, I don't trust it. So there's where I'm at. And I forgot to mention, 10B does have a drop zone. And so we'll do honestly, just getting to the drop zone gives you a stroke on anyone who misses it. And this drop zone is particularly gross when the wind is left to right. So say you end up OB, you're at the drop zone. The absolute worst mistake you can make is to throw a hyzer out here and have the wind knock it down and never come back. Personally, I like to aim at the inside line of the OB with an overstable if I'm backhanding, so that there's no chance of it not coming back, assuming you have an overstable enough disc. Or just go straight over here, play the safe play, know that you might take a double as opposed to risking the high stuff. Again, it comes down to your level of confidence and accurately assessing your abilities. So it's only 150. The harp's good and all, but I'll use the deflector because it's just extra overstable. I can start it on this side and know with certainty that it's going to get back to the left. Save the bogey. Even with a laid up drive, you might find yourself with a limited narrow gap for your upshot. We got 132, and it's the same as OB, or same as playing from the drop zone. Use something you're confident with. Sometimes I like just a good straight shot right at it. Give it a, like, if it doesn't fade left or right, then it shouldn't be possible for it to miss big. So we'll try the wizard. Kind of an awkward position here. Babied it. You got to make sure to throw it. Can't fall in love with the line. Oh, see, I babied both of these. Now I got work to do. Bad execution. Easy par. So hole 11 is a long par 4. Can't really see, the basket's kind of behind this set of trees. But it's unique in that it's a split fairway. So off the tee, you have to decide if you want to play something down the right side or down the left. Personally, from this tee, I prefer the left. The red tee is over on the right side. But into a headwind, I don't have the power to get there in 2, and I probably don't have the power to get there in 3. So I have to play this one for, bogey generally. Step 1 is do not throw it in the hazard going down the middle of the thing. The water is OB on this hole. Okay, so in a headwind, we want to throw something that has no chance of turning over. This means the destroyer, backhand, not terrible. With a split fairway, you'll eventually have to decide when to cross. Basket is the one on the right there, closest to that clump of trees. We could go a forehand that drifts over there, but that street over there is OB. So, street left, street right. I'm going to risk street left more because it's the devil I know. And again, because we don't want any risk of this turning over. It'll be destroyer. Good safe layup. So I wasn't sure I could get there in 3, but that's 2 just about perfect throws. Get me to 105 feet. Normally I would like a harp at this distance, but this big left or right crosswind, I'm just going to throw a deflector because I know that it'll fight the wind and win. That's a good par. So yeah, that's the safest way to make par here. So hole 15 is particularly tricky for the MA3, MA2. This ditch out here is about starts at about 260 and goes to about 310, 320. So it's right in that trouble range where you can throw it in there with a full powered throw. which is very annoying. It makes the hole so much more difficult for that level of player who can only throw 310, 320. As such, this is probably my least favorite hole on the course. And in a strange twist of fate and or malicious intent, I ended up being the sponsor for the tournament. But there are two optimal plays. I guess maybe not optimal. There's the high risk, which is trying to land in this area out here, bring it out over the street, do a forehand. Either way, trying to get it into that area where you're a little bit closer. Or the layup. The layup has its own risks. We'll play both of them. If I'm trying to just get my bogey and go home, I'll lay up. If I'm feeling a little feisty, I'll try and land in this thing. Usually with the forehand, sometimes with the backhand, because the backhand can get caught by that concrete, which makes it easier for it to like not go in the shit. But with this headwind, it's like a quartering headwind. Everything's going to want to go left pretty hard. It's going to be challenging. So for the higher risk play, I'm going to throw my Firebird at the right edge of the OB and keep it low. Keep it from hopefully getting all the way into the street. If it does, do weird shit. Gosh, I hate this fucking hole. For the layup play, it's about 214 or so to the shit. I just want to drop it anywhere in front. Anywhere by that red, just a little ahead of the red tees would be good. It's safe. Now from here, we'll just play it like a par 3. Throw it up, lay up. Oh, Mr. Firebird, what are you doing in the tunnel of love? Looks more like So it's only 108 feet, or 98 feet, sorry, but it's uphill and in the headwind. I'm hesitant to put anything that'll get onto a roller angle, because that slope is just nasty. But I gotta keep it low, and I want something that'll fight the wind instead of hyzering. And I want my camera to not blow over. The harp is questionable. It's like in between, because if it gets up, it's gone. So I'm not going to do it. Sometimes it means disking up to a Firebird for a 100-foot shot. But whatever you're confident with, whatever you think you can get to execute, that's the right disc for the job. And make 5, you probably would have made 5 anyway. The hazard, at best, third one up here somewhere, fourth to the basket, putting. And that's if everything goes well and you don't get a roll away. Let's try and save the bogey. Alright, join me on a trek back to my vehicle, way out there somewhere. Yeah, so hopefully that's gives you some insight onto what I'm thinking while I'm out on the course, especially in the wind, especially if I'm trying to shave strokes compared to the rest of the field. And again, this is geared toward MA3, MA2. I have no idea what MA1 and beyond type people do, because I don't throw far enough to really compete currently, working on that still. But the key is just don't give away strokes. Sometimes it's unavoidable, sometimes the disc just doesn't behave. And that's why I tend to go with like very overstable, the Destroyers, the Firebirds, the Stilettos. If I'm playing in a tournament, sometimes in the wind, I won't even use half my bag because I don't trust them to cooperate. So hopefully you found that informative. As always, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the course. So we want to throw something that won't turn over and rides for a reasonable amount. So I'm just going to go with the Explorer. The other thing would be maybe the DD3.